Indigenous rights are the rights of the people who were the first to live in an area before it was colonized, as well as the rights of their descendants. These rights include the right to self-determination, land rights, language rights, cultural rights, and the right to health and education. Indigenous rights are recognized in international law and are the basis for numerous treaties and agreements between indigenous peoples and nation-states. Self-determination is the right of indigenous peoples to determine their own political destiny. This includes the recognition of indigenous peoples as distinct nations, with their own laws, customs, and traditions. It also includes the right to self-governance, which allows indigenous peoples to create their own systems of government and law. Land rights are the right to own, use, and manage the land they traditionally occupy. This includes the right to hunt, fish, and gather on ancestral lands, and to exercise control over the resources they rely on for their sustenance. Land rights also guarantee indigenous peoples the right to benefit from the economic development of their lands, including the right to receive fair compensation for its use. Language rights are the right to use and maintain indigenous languages, and to have access to education in those languages. Language rights are essential for preserving indigenous cultures, and for allowing indigenous peoples to communicate in their own languages. Cultural rights are the right to maintain and practice indigenous cultures, to pass on their knowledge and traditions, and to protect their cultural heritage. These rights include the right to practice traditional ceremonies, to maintain cultural sites, to access traditional medicines, and to access cultural artifacts. The right to health is the right to receive quality healthcare services in a culturally appropriate manner. This includes the right to access culturally appropriate health services, to receive healthcare in one's own language, and to receive healthcare that is respectful of indigenous cultures. The right to education is the right to access quality education in a culturally appropriate manner. This includes the right to access culturally appropriate educational materials, to receive education in one's own language, and to receive education that is respectful of indigenous cultures. Indigenous rights are essential for the protection of indigenous cultures and for the promotion of indigenous peoples' rights to self-determination and economic, social, and cultural development. Indigenous rights are recognized in international law and in numerous treaties and agreements between indigenous peoples and nation-states. It is important for all nations to recognize indigenous rights and to work together to ensure that indigenous peoples' rights are respected.